What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Food Fitness Family. It is myself, Big Daddy Blankenship, with my sexy, raspy voice today. We have Mr.
Is it
Beautiful,
raspy?
the peacock himself,
Fucking peacock.
Mr. Marcus Gates. How you doing today, man?
Good morning, man. How you doing? Happy Friday. Happy
Jesus.
Happy Monday to everybody else. Happy
I
Friday
think
to
we
you.
both are struggle busing this morning. We both were almost late, didn't want to get up. Because for you guys who don't know, like our schedules don't match up very well. So typically when we record, it's like anywhere from 6:30 to 7 a.m.
Or like 9 p.m. at night. One of
Or
the
like
two.
9 p.m. Yeah. So
We're
typically
sleepy
it's
either way.
yeah.
Imagine
So
us if we were like on it.
yeah. So just for that, you guys really need to promote the shit out of us. Because we, take time out of our early morning sleep schedule, you know. Uh I barely had time to wake up and brew coffee this morning. Out of my new Guardians of the Galaxy mug. Have you seen this, bro?
Well, that's nice. It's a big mug too. What is that? Like 20
Yeah.
ounces of coffee in there?
I don't know. It's decent size. My coffee's already not hot enough, but on the back it's a picture. When it warms up, it's a
Oh,
picture of the Epcot ball.
oh, that's cool. It's a cool mug.
So,
I like a
but
good coffee
I'm
mug.
but I'm a pussy and I don't really like super hot coffee, so that's probably why.
I don't either. That's why mine
Anyway,
stays in the fridge.
yeah, yeah. And your mug's small and cute, so
No, mine's like 16. Or mine's like 12 ounces.
yeah, it matches you.
Fuck you.
What
Um,
how's your week, man?
last 7 days were solid. So what we last time we recorded was like 10 days ago or so.
Yeah,
With the Protein Bros, if you guys haven't listened to that, episode 20, it was awesome. We probably could have split into like 4 episodes, honestly. I thought about that.
I know.
Um,
I some people they said they pulled it up and they're like, "Holy shit, fucking 2 hours!" I'm like, "Yeah,"
we
and
should
I'm
have
like,
just
"We didn't."
chopped it up into
I was
four.
like, probably an hour. That was bullshit. And I was like, I
Oh,
don't think we got anything done.
no. And that was, I think that cut off like the first 30 minutes of us just talking about anything but what we were supposed to be
Yeah,
talking
it
about.
was like a 3 hour ordeal. Like
It
when we got
was.
done, it was like 8:30, and I
Yeah.
I looked at my phone and talked down. And I was like, "Your son's asking for you to go to bed." And I was like, "Oh shit! I didn't realize how late it was."
So sorry about that, but treat that as like 4 episodes and just break it up 30-minute intervals if you're going to listen to it. If you don't have time to just, drive to Colorado and listen to it.
Or make
Um,
time.
yeah, or make time for it, whatever. No, so yeah, last 7 days were good though. Last week had a lot of programs to get out before we left for Vegas. We went to Vegas for the Super Bowl. Funny enough, we at the sports bar we went to, which we went to last year as well. You paid for like all you can eat, all you can drink experience. Pretty nice sports bar at the Sahara called Chicky and Pete's. Didn't know it was a Philadelphia-based bar. So
Oh shit!
in line, we're like, where are all the Chiefs fans at? And the dude in front of us turns around and is like, this is a Philly-based bar, right? I was like, didn't know that at all. So it's us, maybe one or two other tables of Chiefs fans, and then
Dude, what a
Philly.
hostile environment.
I thought I would kind of going into it was like, oh, aren't Philly fans
Philly
like
fans are
assholes?
awful. They're
Yeah, they
awful.
were totally fine though. Like we didn't have any issues with them. If anything, I was asshole because I was just hammered. I drink like hard 8 times a year, and I had like 8 tank 7s. Usually one of them does me under, and I
I
was
was gonna
just
guess, yeah.
my buddy that I was with. I was like, all right, every time we score, we're gonna order another tank 7 and down it. And so I'm just like throwing them back like they were shots. So that made for a really really tiring Monday. I didn't feel that bad, but Chiefs won though, so that was super sweet. So yeah, I was in Vegas the next few days. The next day we rented a Corvette and went out to the Hoover Dam. That was fun to drive that for a day.
Dude, isn't that thing crazy? You don't realize how big it is till you're there.
Oh yeah, oh the Hoover Dam, yeah, it was
Oh my
wild.
god.
It was it
Yeah.
was. I didn't know I was going to go there and learn a lot about the Hoover Dam, but if you ever need, we could just do a whole podcast on just the Hoover Dam.
Yeah.
But so I did that though, and then went to Fit Club out there in Vegas, which is my favorite gym in Vegas. Went
Which
there
he said
on.
was his all-time favorite gym.
No, I didn't. I
Fuck
didn't
you,
say those words. I
Marcus.
didn't say those words, but I do enjoy going. If you've never been there though, in Vegas, it's a good time. It's not competing. It's like I don't even know how far that drive is. 16 hours
Hurts
away from you.
hurts my soul.
Anyway, though, so I went there though a couple days, which I was like going there. They just added on a cool little leg room, and then yeah, came home. Went to work yesterday, missed the parade, but it's all right because the Chiefs won, and that's all I care about. How about yourself?
Man, I'll have my 7 days, but it's kind of been a whirlwind, dude. We Tatiana and I announced publicly that we were having our second baby. That's been really
Congrats.
great. She's starting to feel the baby kick, so that's exciting. We've already kind of been going at some names, so we'll figure that out. think I signed one client. February's, I don't know how you are, but like February for me for clients are always like it's slow no matter what. Even the gym, it's like the slowest month ever.
Yeah.
I feel like people really don't get serious until March. Like I know January is a thing, but I really feel like it's like March.
I feel like people don't start thinking about summertime and like getting prepared for it
until it's summer.
Yeah, exactly. Like until it's
Yeah.
too late to, I mean, for a lot of people to make, I mean, some people can obviously get leaned up before then, but yeah, most people like you need a lot more time than what you think you're going to, especially if you're at the very beginning stages. And yeah, so people will always wait till like April or like the first warm day, be like, oh shit, summer's coming. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's been coming.
Yeah. So that I watched the Super Bowl. I only had 3 beers. Because my check-in days are Monday, so there's no way I could go through a check-in day hungover.
It sounds awful. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't make it. I had my first experience betting. I've never really sports bet before, like actual sports bet. I put a $5 bet on Jalen Hurts to score the next touchdown, and then he fumbled and Nick Bolton ran it back. But he scored the next touchdown.
I wonder what the odds would have been if you would have bet on Bolton score the next touchdown.
Oh, dude,
like
I mean, probably like
50,000.
I mean, probably even more than that. Probably like plus 400,000.
Yeah,
it probably would have been similar to the bet I made because I bet $20 on the Colts to win the next Super Bowl because we had the absolute worst odds of anybody.
Oh, really?
And if we somehow win, it pays out $3,000.
Yeah,
so I was like,
perfect. Yeah,
why not? You know what I'm saying?
That makes sense.
By this time next year, I won't even remember that $20.
No, you won't. No, you won't. Unless you win.
Unless we win,
dude. Yeah. The William Hill Sportsbook out there. So apparently they have like multiple throughout the country, but that's what a lot of the sports books use in Vegas. And so it's like an app, so you could do it on the app or walk up to like the counter and like place your bets there. Their entire system crashed after like the first quarter of the Super Bowl. Didn't get back up and working until yesterday morning. So it was like 3 or 4 days. We had like I won money. It wasn't a lot of money. Like some people probably bet thousands or hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
They were getting screwed, but mine was only, I think I won like 100, 120 or something. And none of us could take our money out.
That's crazy.
And so now that it's back up, there's like you can like fill out this paperwork stuff and then you can get your money in like 4 weeks. I'm like, I'll be out in Vegas soon enough. Like I'll end up just using that money again. But it's just the point of it. It was
that's crazy.
It was very frustrating, especially in today's age where there's like so many good sports betting apps out there. It's like, and the whole setup of their app is just dog trash anyway. Like I don't get it.
Yeah, I use DraftKings, DraftKings Sportsbook. Colts got their new coach, which I'm super hype about. Shane Steichen, who is the play caller for the Eagles. So he runs a very good offense. He's actually been behind developing a lot of young quarterbacks. So I'm excited for that. Had a big manager meeting yesterday. We're rolling out some stuff with Body Shop. I've had some really big visions with Body Shop, and I'll just go ahead and speak it into existence. We are not stopping at 2 locations. We will keep going. I actually have a map printed out. Actually, it's in my truck right now. I'm going to put it in my office, but I have stars on every city I want to hit, and we're just going to fucking take this thing, man. So I'm very excited. I think when I was looking at, because my goal in my life is to create foundational wealth. So, I think there's always that one person who takes the risk and they set their families up for generations type of thing. Whether that be through risky move, Shaq, like he started with sports and then he got into businesses, things like that. I will never make as much money as Shaq, but that's okay. But I was like, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And then after talking to a couple of my mentors, it's like spreading me a little too thin.
And you're already on one path.
I'm already on one path. So it's like, I can take this path and take something I'm extremely passionate about and take it all the way.
Yeah.
And along with that, I can go different paths with the same path, like as far as real estate goes, so I'm very excited about it. Talked to my team about it yesterday. It feels weird to say I have a team, but I do. Also had a small impromptu meeting this week about bringing another coach on under Blankslate. I do have one coach right now. He's just kind of a beginner. He does a great job, but this coach is completely different. It would be more powerlifting based. Like that. And it would be more of a tandem work where he would do programming. He doesn't really do the nutrition side, and like that's a big component still of powerlifting. So we would kind of work in tandem, nutrition and him do programming. So I'm pretty excited about what the future holds. I think 23 is going to be a massive fucking year. I mean, I'm already opening one more business and have another kid, so it can't not be a good year.
No, yeah, it's already gonna be a good year. Yeah.
So, and I get to look at your face every few days, and it's just gorgeous. You know what I mean?
I appreciate it.
It's so feminine like.
I mean,
it's just.
I was about to say I'm excited for you, but I'm gonna hold my compliments back for you.
No, he told me off air he's excited. He can't hide it.
It is exciting though. Congratulations. I like the vision. I'm on board with it. I'm excited to see you crush it.
Thanks, man. But we can kind of get into our topic today. We're gonna talk about
Bulking.
Clean bulk, dirty bulk. What are the bulks?
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen Get Hard
with
Will not Will Smith, holy shit, Will Ferrell.
Yeah. One time along, like when it first came out. I don't
so now that Tatiana's pregnant, like I see all these pregnancy videos, and it was like this chick, and it was she's like, when you come home from your 6-week postpartum checkup, and he was like, oh, if you brought your Costco card because I'm getting dick in bulk. So I said bulk.
Yes, that's a good one. All right, I like that.
Man. Anyways, we're not going to talk about dicks today. We're going to talk about bulking.
Yes, sir. So bulking. So
bulking.
I mean, so first off, let's kind of start with maybe our personal experiences with bulking. Obviously, I'm sure we both gone through our own versions of bulking with it. I've done it where I gain minimally, but I didn't have a lot of fat to pull off, added onto it afterwards. I've done it where I just threw all caution to the wind and just ate. And, I've got to like 195 before. I compete around 155 to 158 or so. So when I got up to 195, I looked and felt awful. So I'm excited about this bulk that you and I are starting together, kind of see where we can take that stuff.
I think my first bulk, I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I ate anything I want whenever I wanted. I ate big to get big, and I got big, and I got big and fat.
Yeah.
I was eating like Applebee's 2 for $20s by myself. You know what I mean? Type things like that. My blood pressure was sky high. I thought I looked good, and now when I look back at the pictures, I was like, I was sloppy and fat as shit.
Yeah.
And when I found like one of my first coaches, and I was so fat that he literally took me from 250 all the way down to 190.
Oh, wow.
And I was like,
you had no idea you had 60 pounds.
Dude, and not only that, but I still was probably like 8 or 9 weeks out.
Yeah.
I probably could have been like 170. It was pretty brutal. And then after that, I was able to put on some muscle. So, but I think when we look at bulks, I think a lot of people they throw terms out like, oh, I'm doing a lean bulk, I'm doing a dirty bulk. It's like, dude, just focus on getting calories in, but in a good way. So I think a lot of people, you really only need, there's most people who look at things different way. You really only need about 500 calories over surplus to be in a position to really be gaining muscle. So now, how do we find that 500 calories? There's not a test that says what we're doing. Really, it's just up to your coach if they know what they're doing to toggle food up and down until they find that sweet spot, and that could be post show, that could be, anytime during the off season. I have to watch the body weight. How is it fluctuating? Is it, I have some clients and it's like shooting up 3 pounds and they're dropping 3 pounds and they're shooting up 3 pounds. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, I've been snacking a little more. Like, stop that shit. You know what I mean? It's like, I can't get a read on what your body's doing if there's this constant flux in weight, you know what I mean? Because of shit you're doing. But I think ideally we want to look for like half a pound to a pound a week.
Yep.
Versus when I was younger, it was like, I wanted 2 to 3, but honestly, if you're gaining that fast, you're just going to get really fat really quick. And honestly, even at a half pound a week, which is almost what we have you doing right now, you're still going to accrue body fat.
Oh yeah.
It's just going to be at a much slower rate. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think back to like my very first, when I was if I didn't weight train, if I didn't, if I wasn't smart about what I eat and things of that nature, I'd probably weigh about 130 pounds, just walk around. I think that's probably like my normal body, like set point. Might be a little bit more than that at this point, being a little bit older. But so when I first, started lifting in high school, I just wanted to obviously gain size and gain as much size as I could, but obviously still look good. And so at that point, I was able to really eat whatever. So, I would make sandwiches and stuff to take to school. I'd have multiple protein shakes. One of the things I did for like a year straight was I'd come home and make like a half a box of pasta. I'd get some grilled chicken breast from Hy-Vee, like marinated ones. And then I would just douse that shit in olive oil at nighttime. And that was like my big dinner. And I have a really big protein shake before I went to bed. But outside of that, outside of those main meals I was eating, if my parents brought home food, I'm eating that food. At one point when I kind of got into college and it was hard to get those calories in, I just carried around a big jar of peanut butter with me. And anytime I thought, kind of like when you think to like take a drink of water, I just chug. Anytime I thought about it, I'd grab my jar of peanut butter, my spoon, and just take a spoonful. So I was probably getting in another 1,500 calories just from peanut butter a day.
My God. Do you have diarrhea all day?
No, I felt fine. Honestly, though, like, because I felt like I was eating a lot of food throughout the day on top of that. So it was just an easy way to get an added amount of calories in there. And honestly, being younger, I didn't pack on a lot of extra body fat with it. But I was able to gain a little bit of weight kind of over time. Now, obviously, if I would have did it the right way, it would have probably looked better on me than what it actually did. But
sure,
I felt like it looked pretty good at the point just for where I was at with that. I feel like I always have a lot of people, and I mean, we've seen this on social media, had conversations with people like, I just can't gain weight. Regardless where you're at, everybody has their hards with it, but you're not eating enough. If you're not gaining weight, you're just not eating enough food. And you got to find a way to add that food in, add another meal, add more food to your meals. But ultimately, that's all it is that you're just not eating enough, or maybe you're training too much, or maybe you're doing too much extra shit on top of it that's burning more calories, but you're just not eating enough. You're not gaining weight.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is purely genetic. In today's day and age, like everyone wants to stay Instagram ready all the time. They want to stay shredded. They want to say this. Honestly,
and I'm part of that too.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
This is the first time you've taken the true off season, and it's like some people can stay leaner all the time. Some people like me, man, it doesn't matter what I do. I'll stay lean-ish longer, but like my body just loves to be around 15 to 18%.
Yeah,
I've been a chubbier kid my entire life. I've stuck at leaner. I've had abs post show for 6 months, but I was also like eating 2 meals a day, like being my activity levels through the roof. It just wasn't sustainable,
Yeah.
And I think I was coming off of my T3 at that point, and I was like messing up, and I was taking like double the amount I was supposed to on accident. So I remember like when I came out of that rebound, I was like 240 in really good shape, like really good. And then I took, I think, a month and a half off to get the gym open, and I came back at like 220, and like not even as lean as what I was at 240. So God only knows how much muscle I ate off my body by taking too much T3 and not. And I was literally work until noon. I would eat a large Hawaiian Bros, and then I'd work until like 9 p.m. And then I would come home and eat whatever Tatiana had and a couple beers, and then I'll go to bed. And I did that for like a month and a half straight. So I think with some people, with you were naturally a little leaner. So even your chubbiness isn't, you hold fat pretty evenly. So it's there. And that's a big thing, versus someone like myself. All my fat is stored in my ass cheeks, my lower back, and my belly.
Yeah.
My arms will look decent. My chest and shoulders will look good. My legs, I'll have splits in my quads all off season long. You know what I mean? But then everything else is just fat as shit. So like when I'm doing contest prep, I'm looking at an area this big to see if I'm in shape. You know what I mean? Versus someone like you, we kind of have to look everywhere.
Yeah.
And I always try to look at someone's fattest body part to see how fat they truly are.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good indicator, because if we're just looking at certain shots, then we can't really tell how fat someone is. And because the reason that's important, the fatter we get, the more body fat we accrue, the higher our glucose is, our blood sugar levels, And the higher blood sugar levels, if we are forcing food after that, we're just gaining more and more and more and more body fat.
Yep.
And that's really important. You know, a lot. That's why I ask questions like, how are your pumps? How's your performance? How's your energy? Because if all three of those are trending down, that tells me I need to pull back. Our glucose is probably getting a little higher. And that's without me monitoring the glucose.
Yeah.
You know,
some monitoring it helps.
Then we know.
Yeah.
But those are big things. I don't know.
No, I completely agree with that. And that's something that, you know, in the past, whenever I've done bulk, so I'm excited to be, you know, much more educated at this point going into this, and really understanding my body and understanding, you know, the physiology of everything. So I can monitor those things, so I can communicate those things as well to you, as that's, you know, going to be a big help with things. So, you know, let's kind of talk about maybe when do we know it's time to kind of start bulking for somebody? I mean, me personally, it's usually more guys that will come to me and say, hey, I want to put on size. And I want to look at their body composition already. And if we already have a little bit too much fat, that's probably not when I'm going to want to bulk up. Or, hey, you might be on the leaner side anyway. And it's going to be easy to kind of start from the ground floor and start building up. But ultimately, you know, the visual look is part of it, but then also, at least in my opinion, especially with myself, is I want to make sure that like my maintenance calories are high enough. So I've reverse dieted high enough where I'm happy eating this amount of food, but I have room in the tank to still be able to eat more and more food on top of that. I've done it before where I've like reverse dieted and got like, I've stayed really, really lean, got up to like 4,000 calories. And I'm like, okay, how the fuck do I get more food in? Because now I'm ready to start bulking, and I'm like, I can't squeeze any more calories out of this.
Just keep pushing.
Exactly. Which is, that's why I end up actually hating a bulk once I get too far into it, because then I'm having to force down so much food. But again, we all have a hearts, you know, for you, it's harder to cut and you've got to really deplete yourself. For me, I don't really have to deplete myself too much during a cut, but during a bulk phase, if I really want to make it work, I've got to put in that extra mile and accept that it's just going to be hard.
Well, and that's when it comes down, like I said, genetics. Like, I mean, I outweigh you by a good amount, and you eat a lot more than I do. My body can't handle that much food.
Yeah.
But the same thing when we prep, I have to do what 4 times the cardio you have to. You know what I mean, and go even lower calorie than what you go.
Exactly.
You know, it's
exactly.
just genetic.
Yeah.
But I think I look at them visually. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to cut someone down before I push them back up, and I'll explain to them the reason behind it.
Yep.
But secondly, I look at what are they doing already. Maybe they're already bulking, and maybe they're having digestive issues. Maybe they're having, you know, diarrhea, or when they're going to the bathroom, they're wiping constantly. I think we've all gone to the bathroom and like, oh my God, like they've gone through a half roll of toilet paper. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
You know, those aren't normal things. So we would pull back anyways, and get them digesting and assimilating better before we push back up.
Yeah.
Because if we just keep pushing food, it's like we're just going to keep creating more digestive issues.
Yep.
And I think that's a lot of the reason why we see so many distended stomachs now, is like, we're eating more to get bigger, but also if you're in a chronic state of inflammation and you can't keep your waist controlled, it's just going to get blown out. You know what I mean? Like, we've all been bloated before. So if you're like that 24/7, like even if you're full blown off season, there's a difference between being bloated and being full. Those are 2 different things. So we need to pay attention to that.
Yeah. I mean, I want to point out something for a second, is that, you know, if you've listened to the prior podcast, and if we're talking about, you know, getting started on a cut or setting up somebody's diet or whatever our goals are, notice that we're looking at these foundational things first, like your gut health. You know, so before you start cutting, before you start a comp prep, before you start bulking, before you start really any certain direction, we've got to kind of, you know, push over these certain dominoes first. Make sure that your sleep is in check. Make sure that your gut and your digestion and your, you know, absorption of the food that you're eating is all intact, because otherwise there's no point in really pushing it in one way or the other, because it's not going to be optimized anyway. Yeah. And like you just said, you're going to cause more problems down the road if you don't have this shit, you know, focused and optimized prior to starting a new phase like that.
Yeah. Marks and I are pretty similar, and we're probably going to look at body fat first, sleep second, digestion third, and like overall stress fourth, and fixing those.
And the organizational stuff, you know, again, coming back to the foundations of it, if you can't follow a diet or you can't stick to a certain plan, like we're going to have to work through some of that stuff. At least I know I will, I think more than you, because you're dealing with a lot more comp prep guys. But so I'm having to look at that shit as well before we can ever really dive into those really, really big goals. Because those are giant obstacles in our way potentially.
Yeah. Cause if we can't, if you're not sleeping good, you're not digesting well, and your stress is up, the body fat's not really going to change. If anything, the body fat's going to go up.
Definitely.
You know, I think next, a big thing that people make mistakes on is food bumps. When to make a food bump, what to bump. You know, I think they add too many calories too fast because they look at the scale.
They want to be higher. Yeah.
You have to think when you add calories, you're not, I like to think of adding calories as a weekly add. So, you know, if I'm adding 50 calories a day, what is that? That's or not 50 calories, 50. If I added, can you talk? If I added 50 carbs to someone's diet in a day, that's 200 calories a day.
Yeah. Over
1,400 calories a week. That's a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when I'm going to bump someone's food, I'm probably going to bump at 10, 15, max 20 grams of carbs. Unless they are someone who, like my dude, Brendan, he's a big guy. He's eating over 5,000 calories. His weight just will not go up. So I'll get a little heavier with his bumps.
Yeah.
But now he's already eating so much that I look and I'm like, all right, well, let's up his fat intake and let's make this food go a little further. So it's like, when do you want to bump fats versus carbs? Typically I'll always err on the side of carbs. Yeah. And then once carbs are like at a pretty, like if you're eating 400 or 500 plus carbs on a daily basis, even on like your off days, then I'll look at start bumping your fat intake.
Where do you before you start really kind of, you know, going heavy on the carbs and then adding in the fats later on, where do you personally want to get a client's fat up to, like at the start of that bulk? So like for me right now, I'm at like 80 or 90, whereas in comp prep I was like, you know, sub 50, sub 40, I think, for like the last few weeks.
As a female, I kind of like to start at least at like 50, because, you know, 50 to 70 is really good for hormonal production. As a guy, I think it just depends on the person. You know, if they're very, very, very lean, maybe like 40 to 50 carbs. If they're a little heavier, I like to go to like 60 to 80. But, you know,
or fat, you mean fat?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But honestly, I really like to be around that 75 to 80 grams of fat, maybe all the way even up to 100. You know what I mean? I feel like it's satiating, it's delicious for hormone production, lipid profiles, cholesterol. And even you felt 10 times better once I upped your fat intake, because you were so 100%. Low fat for so long. Well, and fat is so important for cholesterol production, and cholesterol production is so important for hormone production. So it's like, people don't understand. That's honestly one of the worst things that was ever pushed in America, was a low fat diet. Because you feel like shit. You're not producing the same amount of hormones. Cholesterol is fucked up. Like, you know, like if your cholesterol is fucked up, you know what can happen if you just add like a couple tablespoons of real olive oil to your food throughout the day, or macadamia oil or avocado. Like, that can do wonders for your lipid profile. You know what I mean?
Well, and the other reason why I like getting those fats up to pretty much the numbers you just said as well. And, you know, for a guy anywhere from like 80 to 100, the sooner I can get those up there, though, is because, again, I'm dealing with a lot more lifestyle people, is that I know if they're going to be eating out once or twice a week, if they're already kind of doing that type of stuff, it creates this higher ceiling of their fat they can have. If you're making your own meals at home, it's more enjoyable to have a little more fats in there, because, and not that you should be leaning heavily on processed foods or things like that, but pretty much all that stuff is going to have a little added fat into it. So it gives you some more wiggle room with that. Not to mention, you just feel better on it anyway.
Yeah. I mean, and they're great. Peanut butter is great.
Oh, yeah.
Avocado is great. Fresh olive oil on some rice. Holy shit.
It's amazing. I look so forward to being able to add olive oil back to meals, or to add coconut oil to my chicken and rice meals. I'm super pumped with that. I love being able to have an avocado and salmon in the same meal.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, it's kind of like,
I like avocado and beef in the same meal.
Yes, exactly. And beef. So I look for, because then, you know, I want to get away from just the chicken. And so the higher your fat is, the more food freedom you have over some of these things. You can mix in the fattier meats here or there. You can mix in these oils and stuff. So that's always exciting. But I'm kind of the same way, though. Get your fat up here and keep kind of carbs moderate. And then we start really pushing the carbs, because it's going to be a lot easier to get. I mean, not necessarily easier, but we just optimally, you know, want to get that a little bit higher before we go back to fats.
Well, and if you want to do bigger food jumps, let's look at what I did with you
Yeah.
last week. We upped your high day by 50,
Yeah, I think we went from like
something like
400
that,
to 450
to 450. Okay,
on
now that
on my 2 high days.
on 2 high days.
Two high
So
days.
okay, that is a 50 carb bump. That's 200 calories, but it's only on 2 days. So it's only 400 calories a week. So it's like, that's not too much, but that's also
Yeah.
strategic because we're feeding Marcus's lower, I guess, lower level body parts, his lagging body parts, which are his back and his legs. And then we're also spiking his metabolism. So maybe he's not eating. So maybe what we'll end up doing is that we'll keep his moderate days the same and just keep boosting his high days. So that way we're creating like almost like built-in refeeds, and we're able to keep him leaner longer because we're not pushing the same amount of foods every day.
Well, and honestly, it helps a little bit mentally having just those couple high days tossed in there because, if it's just a couple days a week, especially if I get my calories crazy high on those days, I can do that a couple days a week. But when that food fatigue, when you're doing 7 days a week of just crazy amount of calories, it's way harder. So then like my hunger levels kind of stay in a better place on both days whenever I have that kind of that teetering back and forth versus just a straight across the board.
Yeah.
You're just eating a shit ton of food.
Listen, and I talk to guys who do 1,000 carbs a day because that's what they have to do. And I've worked with one guy in particular. His name was Barry, and he lived out in DC, man. And his diet was, dude. I mean, he was probably eating like 6,000 calories a day of like clean food, and I would get to a point where I'm like, what? Like, what?
Yeah.
How do you even eat that? Like, we're talking like 500 grams of rice in a meal. You know what I mean? Like, you guys think it's cool until you see that much food, and it's like, holy shit.
And you got to do it on a daily basis, not just once every now and then. Yeah, that's definitely wild. I think the next place I think we should probably go, unless you had anything else to add on to that, would be a mix of like how much junk food or how much more food freedom on the more unhealthier side of food, maybe eating out, not even necessarily unhealthy, but just
I was
gonna
go
more frequently.
I was gonna go into food options if your food's already high.
Perfect.
But let me hit that first, and then we'll get into the cheats a little bit. Like if your food is already pretty high, and I do have some people that come to me and they're actually 9 times out of 10 when people come to me, they're like, I'm eating this, and it's like I look at their diet, I'm like, okay, you're eating half of that. So like if your food already is high, there are things you can leverage. Fruit is huge, and it's like a dessert. You know what I mean? You're burnt out on 2 cups of rice. Take a cup of rice away, or 3/4 of a cup of rice away, and have an apple or banana instead. I'm big on pineapple, blueberries. Brendan, like his food is crazy high. So I gave him 8 ounces of pure OJ in the morning. It's an easy way to get him 30 grams of carbs. It tastes great and it's low volume. So I think people really underestimate the level of fruit in their diet. And also it's like a treat, and it's like you're going to be less likely to cheat because you're getting something that's delicious.
Yeah. And same thing goes for if you're cutting as well. You can always make those changes.
Yeah. As far as, cheats, I prescribe like 1 cheat a week. Now sometimes I'll, like 1 cheat, and then like I call it a clean cheat. I don't really tell people clean cheats a lot because I feel like sometimes it's taken advantage of. But like if, let's say for instance, you're doing a beef and rice meal, okay, but you want to go to dinner and have a steak and potato, or you want to go to dinner and have sushi, do it. That's fine. It's not the end of the world. I did it. I would have 1 dirty cheat, and then on Saturday mornings, my family, I go to First Watch. We get an egg white turkey omelet and a pancake. It's cleaner. You know what I mean? But we need to make sure, like, even when we're having these cheats, like these pizzas or these burgers or these fries, these are made to help progress what we're already doing, give us some extra calories, give us a nice mental break. These aren't made to be gut bombs and binge until we can't eat and fuck up your digestion for the next 3 days. And I did this when I was younger. I would eat until I was gonna fucking explode. Like my first comp prep, if I got a cheat meal, I would literally eat until I had to lay my seat back and I couldn't even drive home.
That's not fun or good.
We don't want to do that. If dairy fucks you up, why are you gonna go eat a pint of Ben and Jerry's?
Well, and
you know what I mean? It's like,
and honestly, I bet I couldn't name anybody that I know of that could go eat a whole pint of Ben and Jerry's ice cream or any sort of ice cream and feel exactly great afterwards.
Good.
Or eat a whole pizza, or go eat a big, heavy, cheesy Mexican dish of some sort, like our Americanized, like Mexican type food that's just like loaded with a crazy abundance of cheese. You're not going to feel good after any of those, regardless of your digestive system for the most part. And those are the things that, I'm like, hey, for your cheat meal, enjoy yourself, obviously. But if you're noticing you feel like absolute shit after some of these meals, then is it really worth you picking that cheat meal? You can go have other things, but if you're constantly feeling terrible after these things, there's a reason for that. It's high inflammatory foods. So, anymore, because same way when I was in college or anything else, if I'm having a cheat meal, I do want to go get an entire large Domino's pizza and slam it myself. I never felt
And
good
when you're
afterwards.
younger, well, I don't know how you, but when I was younger, I could eat stuff like that and be fine.
For the most part, yes.
Now that I'm a little
The younger
older,
we are.
you know what, 32 now.
Yeah.
Wait, yeah, is that how old I am? 32? Yeah.
It'll wreck you though.
Yeah. Oh, bro. Yeah. I what was it, couple nights when I was working up all that Florida, I came home and I ate an entire stuffed crust pizza and breadsticks, dude. I was fucked up for like 2 days.
Well, and I'm sure part of the reason why you even allowed yourself to make that choice, because you just worked 8 straight hours and it didn't take a break for
I didn't eat the entire day.
Which is an anomaly in your life to kind of have that. And so like on those types of days as well, like, man, I just need to get some calories in. That's kind of how I was like in Vegas on that last day. Like I had a protein shake. I had a small little meal that was heated up in the microwave at the gym. And then after that, I was like, I haven't had any more calories. So that night, I went to work on getting calories in.
Yeah. I think I was actually down on weight the next day just because I didn't eat all day and I was doing construction.
Yep, exactly. But yeah, so trying to keep it clean, you should always start with much cleaner foods and get up the clean foods as high as you possibly can, in terms of whenever you're adding calories for the most part. And then in my opinion, then we can start adding on a little bit more dirty stuff because then you just need a calorie surplus at some point. And getting in more clean food is just miserable. Like you said, you're having 500 grams of rice per meal. It's a lot of damn rice. When you're having 7-8 ounces of chicken, especially if you're trying to mix in veggies with it, you're full for the next 5 hours, even though mealtime is in the next 3 hours.
Yeah, and before we get off here, I'll just kind of go on to I think another mistake that people make, and I think this is very important to bring up, and I did this a lot when I was a younger coach and I didn't know as much. I was so concerned about not progressing that I would never pull back on food on the off season. It did not matter what was going on. We were going to keep progressing. We're going to keep eating because that's what we have to do. Now I'll push you hard for like 4 to 6 weeks, and then I'll just pull back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For a couple of weeks, give your body a little bit of a break, and then I'll push forward, and then I'll pull back and give the body a break. And we're limiting fat gain. We're helping digestion. It's nice to have that break sometime. Yeah. But it's like, I think those small 1 to 2 week breaks, and it's not even like I'm doing a lot. Like we haven't done it on you yet because I feel like we're not at a point yet, but like I'll just pull high days for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And you'll usually see them drop a couple pounds and drop inflammation and go from there.
Yeah.
Because if there's one thing that I'm really different coach about now is I worked with I hate using the term higher level coach, but someone much smarter than I am last year for like, God, almost 2 years. And that was my first time ever realizing what it took to eat to grow. And what I mean like that is like when I hired him, I was like, oh, I'm pretty chubby. I was thinking about cutting my food down, and he almost doubled my food. And I noticed instantly I like blew up. Like my delts were bigger, my arms were bigger. Like I was so much fuller.
Yeah.
Like muscle wise.
Yeah.
Like I wish I could get back to looking 270, looking like that.
Yeah.
And who knows, I can. I've actually fucking worked out 3 times this week, Marcus. Today's gonna be number 4.
That's exciting. That is exciting.
I've just been super busy, guys. I know I sound like a pussy. But along with pushing food like that, you gotta pull back sometimes. You know what I mean? It's just good for the soul, it's good mentally, it's good for your health. Yeah. Our bodies aren't made to redline 24/7.
Well, and it's the same thing as cutting for a show or just cutting in general, is that you've got to have these diet breaks kind of built in, assessing biofeedback, assessing how you're feeling, and then make the proper adjustments from there.
Yeah.
And it keeps everything much more sensitive. It keeps insulin sensitivity sensitive and things like that. So it's important to know when to insert these things. And again, that's why it's always nice to have a coach as well that is there kind of guiding you along the way, because instead of just saying, I need to work harder, not smarter. No, sometimes you need to, pull back a little bit, work smarter, not harder. And you're going to get where you want to go much faster, much more healthy, and things like that.
Yep. I agree, man. I agree.
Yes, sir. All right, friends. Well, I think we nailed that.
Knocked it out of the park.
As always, though, if we didn't, touch on a certain topic with bulking or with any of these topics, please let us know though, so that we can circle back on a Q&A, and talk about it on those calls.
Yeah, if you guys like this stuff, share us. Tell a friend about us. I know Emma. I know Emma's probably listening. She never shares us or does anything. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah,
she's always sharing it. Appreciate it.
Always sharing it. Yeah. No, we appreciate you guys listening. If you guys have anything that you want us to go over, Marcus and I are working on a list of people to bring on. I think we're going to look at trying to bring someone on like every other week, once every 3 weeks, something like that to keep it fresh. Look at different topics for you guys, whether it be health. We'll probably do some entrepreneurship stuff, and different things like that. I think would be a lot of fun and bring different insights to the podcast for everyone besides just health. So
yeah, completely agree. All right,
and
guys.
I'm trying to talk Marcus into doing a live food challenge with me. So if you want him to see that, let us know. Okay.
Yeah. Leave us a comment or something. I'm excited to do that. We'll do it at some point.
All right, broski. Well, I'll talk to you later, and I'll probably end up seeing you at the gym today or tomorrow.
Yes, probably so. Everybody else, though, have a great Monday. Have a great start to your
Let's
week.
rock this week.
Yes, sir. All right. See you guys.
See ya.